Okay, so, like, have you seen this? People are building bunkers, like actual underground bunkers. Is this real life? Or are we all just stuck in some twisted episode of Black Mirror? It's like everyone suddenly realized that the world might actually go kaboom, and their solution is to, what? Burrow underground, like a bunch of paranoid gophers.
It's fascinating, isn't it? This primal urge to seek shelter when the existential dread kicks in. But let's be real, a luxury bunker. That's like bringing a water pistol to a nuclear war.
Right. It's like, oh no, the mushroom cloud is coming. Quick, everyone into the deluxe panic room with the heated floors and the wine cellar. Like, are they planning on sipping Merlot while the world burns outside?
It's a curious blend of denial and delusion, wouldn't you say? This belief that you can somehow isolate yourself from the consequences of a global catastrophe.
Totally. It's like, do they think they're going to emerge from their underground hobbit holes in a few months, dust themselves off, and feel, well, that was fun. What's for dinner?
Like emerging into a pristine post-apocalyptic Whole Foods, ready to stock up on organic kale and gluten-free doomsday snacks.
Yeah, exactly. This independent article we've got here is talking about how bunker sales are skyrocketing. Weapons spending is up, tensions are high. Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Hamas is like everyone's got their fingers hovering over the big red button.
And this whole prepper movement, it's like a strange offshoot of consumerism, isn't it? The ultimate survivalist shopping spree. Like, honey, we need to get another pallet of canned beans and a solar-powered espresso machine for the bunker. You know, just in case.
Because what's the point of surviving the apocalypse if you can't have a decent latte in the morning?
All right.
But seriously, though, if I were building a bunker, hypothetically, of course I'd make sure it had, like, a lifetime supply of pizza rolls and a streaming service that never buffers.
Practicalities aside, I think the most essential item for any bunker would be a therapist. Can you imagine the group therapy sessions down there? Okay, Bob, let's unpack your anxieties about the impending nuclear winter again.
Right. It'd be like a real-life version of that show, Big Brother. But with way higher stakes and probably a lot more canned goods. But back to this whole surviving thing. FEMA says we should just chill in the basement if things get hairy.
The good old basement strategy, just picture it. Everyone huddled together in the dimly lit basement, surrounded by boxes of old holiday decorations and that rusty exercise bike you swore you'd use.
Totally. It's like, honey, pass me another can of Spam and that festive Santa figurine.
It's starting to feel a bit post-apocalyptic down here.
And let's not forget the essential element of any good nuclear fallout party. Duct tape. Because, you know, if you can't seal your windows with duct tape, are you even really prepping?
Right. Duct tape fixes everything. It's like the universal symbol of human ingenuity in the face of impending doom. But seriously, is duct tape really going to cut it when radioactive sand is raining from the sky? This article painted quite the vivid picture of that.
Yes, the radioactive sand. Just a gentle dusting of glowing particles to add a little ambiance to your post-nuclear picnic, right? Like, imagine trying to make a sand castle out of that stuff. It'd be like the most dangerous game of beach volleyball ever.
This raises an interesting question, doesn't it? What happens to our perception of the everyday, the mundane, when it's suddenly infused with the threat of radioactive contamination?
It's like everything becomes both terrifying and weirdly fascinating at the same time. Like, you're simultaneously repulsed by the glowing dust and kind of want to lick it to see if you get superpowers.
There's a certain morbid curiosity that kicks in, wouldn't you say? This strange allure of the forbidden, even when it's potentially lethal?
Totally. It's like our brains are wired to seek out novelty, even in the face of danger. Like, ooh, shiny radioactive sand. Let's see what happens when I touch it. Which is probably why those post-apocalyptic movies always have those scenes where people are, like, licking strange substances or drinking from puddles of glowing goo.
Always a wise move in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. But speaking of movies, they rarely capture the true horror of radiation exposure, do they? It's not just about glowing skin and superpowers. We're talking long-term health effects. Genetic mutations. A slow and insidious decay from the inside out.
Right, like, it's not exactly the glamorous Hollywood version of survival, is it? It's more like, congratulations, you survived the blast. Now prepare for a lifetime of chronic illness and existential dread.
Not exactly the tagline for a blockbuster action movie, is it?
Definitely not. But it does make you think, doesn't it? Like, what's the point of surviving if the world you're living in is basically a toxic wasteland?
It raises some pretty heavy philosophical questions, that's for sure. Like, what does it even mean to survive in a world that's fundamentally broken? What are we clinging to, and at what cost?
Whoa, dude, that's deep. You're making my head spin a little here.
Perhaps that's the point. To shake things up, to challenge our assumptions about what it means to live. to survive, to thrive.
Okay, I need a minute to process all that. My brain is officially fried. Listeners, we're going to take a quick break to, regroup and maybe grab some snacks. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're diving even deeper into this bunker business. We'll be exploring the psychology of preparedness, the ethics of survival, and maybe even trying to figure out how to build a sandcastle out of radioactive sand. Stay tuned.
I'm looking forward to that sandcastle building tutorial. Always good to have a post-apocalyptic hobby, you know?
Right. Gotta keep those creative juices flowing, even when the world's gone to hell in a handbasket. See you on the flip side, listeners.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the abyss of, human nature, sprinkled with a healthy dose of impending doom. Last we left off, we were pondering the existential implications of radioactive sandcastles.
Man, that last segment was like a philosophical roller coaster ride through a post-apocalyptic amusement park.
Brain is still buzzing. The beauty of existential dread, isn't it? It has a way of shaking loose those cobwebs of complacency. But let's delve a little deeper into this whole bunker business. The article barely scratches the surface of what it would actually be like to live in one long term.
Right, it's like they gloss over the whole, trapped underground with your family for an indefinite amount of time aspect, not to mention the whole lack of sunshine and fresh air thing.
Imagine the stale air, the recycled water, the constant hum of the ventilation system. The claustrophobia alone would drive most people mad.
Totally. And then there's the whole social dynamic thing. Can you imagine being cooped up in a confined space with your family and maybe a few neighbors for months, maybe even years? Talk about cabin fevers on steroids.
The potential for interpersonal conflict is astronomical. Imagine their arguments over rationing, the simmering resentments, the inevitable power struggles. It'd be like a pressure cooker of human emotions down there.
Right. And then there's the whole bathroom situation, limited water, shared facilities. Let's just say things could get pretty funky pretty quickly.
Hygiene would definitely take a nosedive in the post-apocalyptic bunker world. Forget about those luxurious showers and fluffy towels. We're talking bucket baths and rationed toilet paper.
Okay, now I'm seriously rethinking my whole bunker fantasy. It's starting to sound less like a survival haven and more like a dystopian reality show.
But perhaps that's the point, isn't it? To confront the harsh realities of what it would actually mean to survive a global catastrophe. It's not about luxury or comfort, it's about sheer gritty existence.
Right, it's like survival at its most basic. Stripped down to the bare essentials, no fancy gadgets, no social media, no takeout. Just you, your loved ones, and a whole lot of canned goods.
And let's not forget the psychological toll. The constant fear, the uncertainty, the knowledge that the world you once knew is gone.
That's gotta be heavy, man. Imagine waking up every day in a dark, cramped bunker knowing that everything you ever knew is gone. Your friends, your home, your favorite pizza place, all wiped out.
It's a level of loss that's hard to even fathom, and the psychological impact, the trauma, the grief, it would be immense.
So what's the point of surviving if you're just gonna be a traumatized, hygiene-challenged mess living in a concrete box?
It's a question that philosophers have wrestled with for centuries. What is the meaning of life when faced with such profound suffering and loss?
Dude, you're getting all deep on me again. I need to take a hit just to keep up. But seriously though, is there a bunker survival guide for the soul? Some kind of philosophical toolkit for navigating the apocalypse?
I'm not sure there's a one-size-fits-all answer to that question. But I think it starts with recognizing the importance of hope. Even in the darkest of times, the human spirit has an incredible capacity for resilience.
Hope, right? Because without hope, what's the point?
Hope is the fuel that keeps us going, the spark that ignites our will to survive, to rebuild, to create something meaningful out of the ashes.
Okay, I'm feeling a little more optimistic now. Maybe we can actually make it through this whole apocalypse thing without completely losing our mind.
It's not about denying the darkness, but about finding the light within it. About recognizing that even in the face of unimaginable adversity, the human spirit can endure.
Dude, that's weirdly profound. You sure you haven't been sneaking those extra edibles again?
I assure you my cognitive functions are operating at peak efficiency. But you do raise an interesting point. How do we maintain our sense of humanity, our sense of purpose in a world that's been fundamentally disrupted?
It's how do we stay human when everything around us is screaming post-apocalyptic wasteland?
I think it comes down to connection to community, to recognizing that even in the midst of chaos, we're not alone.
Right. We're all in this together, even if we're separated by miles of radioactive wasteland and concrete bunker walls.
Exactly. And it's that shared humanity, that sense of belonging, that will ultimately help us navigate the darkness and emerge on the other side.
Okay, that's actually kind of beautiful. You're making me rethink my whole lone wolf survivor persona.
Perhaps a more collaborative approach to the apocalypse is in order.
Right. Like instead of hoarding all the supplies for myself, maybe I should start a bunker commune and share my pizza rolls.
A noble endeavor indeed. And perhaps one that could help us redefine what it means to survive, to thrive, to be human in a world that's been irrevocably altered.
Whoa. Okay, I need a minute to process all that. Listeners, we're going to take a quick breather to let those profound vibes sink in. But don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're wrapping up this bunker bonanza with some final thoughts, maybe a few conspiracy theories, and hopefully a little bit of laughter to lighten the mood. Stay tuned. All right, bunker buddies, we're back for the grand finale of our nuclear bunker extravaganza. Did you bring your philosophical hazmat suits? Because we're about to wade into some deep existential goo.
Indeed. We've explored the practicalities, the psychology, the ethics, but there's one final layer we need to peel back. The underlying human impulse that drives this whole bunker obsession.
Okay, lay it on me, wise one. Is it aliens? Ancient prophecies? A secret society of squirrel people preparing for the nutpocalypse?
While I can't rule out any of those possibilities, I think it's something a bit more fundamental. A deep-seated fear of the unknown. A primal urge to control what we can't.
So, we're all just a bunch of control freaks deep down. I mean, I get it. I hate it when my phone battery dips below 50%. But building a bunker, that's next-level control freakery.
It's the ultimate expression of that desire, isn't it? To create a microcosm, a hermetically sealed bubble where you dictate the rules, the environment, even the air you breathe.
It's like playing SimCity, but with real people and a whole lot more canned goods.
And a much higher likelihood of existential meltdown, I'd wager. Imagine the pressure of being responsible for not only your own survival, but the survival of your entire micro-community.
Right. Talk about a recipe for stress-induced bunker breakdowns. You're like, okay, everyone, time for our daily meditation and yoga session. And then we'll have a group discussion on how to equitably distribute the remaining toilet paper.
Ah, yes, the inevitable post-apocalyptic power struggles. The battle for control of the last Trinkie. The formation of bunker cliques based on who has the best board games.
It'd be like Lord of the Flies meets the Real Housewives of the Apocalypse.
A truly terrifying prospect, but perhaps amidst the chaos and the canned peaches, there's a glimmer of hope.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Hit me with your best shot of bunker optimism.
What if this whole bunker phenomenon isn't just about fear and isolation? What if it's also a testament to the enduring human spirit?
Wait, hold up. You're saying there's a silver lining to this whole potential nuclear annihilation thing?
Perhaps. Even in the face of unimaginable darkness, humans have an incredible capacity for adaptation, for resilience, for finding meaning and connection.
So instead of viewing bunkers as symbols of paranoia and isolation, we could see them as potential crucibles for growth and transformation.
Precisely. What if these underground shelters become spaces for creativity, for collaboration, for the forging of new communities and ways of being?
Whoa, dude, you're blowing my mind here. Are you suggesting we turn these bunkers into, underground art collectives, post-apocalyptic Burning Man festivals?
The possibilities are limitless. The key is to shift our perspective, to see the potential for human connection and innovation, even in the most unlikely of circumstances.
Okay, I'm starting to see the light at the end of the radioactive tunnel. Maybe bunkers aren't just about surviving the apocalypse. Maybe they're about redefining what it means to be human in a world that's been irrevocably changed.
Exactly. It's about embracing the unknown with a sense of curiosity and courage, and perhaps even a touch of dark humor.
Because, let's be real, if we can't laugh at the absurdity of it all, we're pretty much doomed.
Laughter is the ultimate act of defiance in the face of existential dread. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can find a way to shine.
All right, listeners, that's a wrap on our deep dive into the wild and wacky world of bunkers. We hope you've enjoyed the ride, learned a thing or two, and maybe even had a few existential laughs along the way. Remember, stay curious, stay connected, and maybe stock up on some extra duct tape just in case.
And if you do happen to find yourself in a bunker, remember to pack your sense of humor, your open mind, and perhaps a few good board games.
Peace out, bunker buddies. And may the odds of surviving the apocalypse be ever in your favor.